there's a pastor tells a story about two business partners who had a falling out. They were just angry with each other. They couldn't, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't really forgive each other. And so they just conducted their business and went about their lives just with this hatred towards each other. And so the pastor went and saw one of the men and talked to him for a while about the importance of forgiveness and how, much better they'd be served if they could just reconcile themselves to each other and put this behind them. And after a while, the first man said that he agreed. And he said, I would be willing to let bygones be bygones, put it behind me and reconcile with this man. And so they prayed about it and agreed on it and were committed to doing it. And the pastor went and saw the second man. Now the second man said, no, so I can't let it go. He said, I hate him. I hate him with every part of my being. I can't let him go. I can't let it go no matter how hard I try. I have no desire to be reconciled to that man. And the preacher said, well, I understand. He said, this man had quit coming to church. And he said, well, let me ask you something. Do you pray? He said, yeah, I pray. I'm not a heathen. I pray every day. He said, would you ever pray the Lord's Prayer? He said, yeah, I pray that every day. He said, well, what is it you do when you come to the line that says, forgive us our debt or our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us? Don't you think you're kind of being hypocritical if you're not forgiving other people? The man thought about it for a minute. He said, you're right. He said, you're absolutely right. So from now on, when I say the Lord's Prayer, I'm going to leave that line out. How many of us would fit into that box? If we really had to be judged as we forgive others, woo, we might be in for a world of hurt, right? But that's the funny thing about the Lord's Prayer. There's a tiny little word in there. It is as. Forgive me my debt as I forgive others. He didn't say as I have. It says as. Right? So in reality, what you're saying when you pray that is, forgive me exactly like I'm forgiving others. So if I'm not forgiving others, what you're doing is you're asking God to not what? Forgive you. Did you ever think about that? And now some of you are going to skip that line, aren't you? Yeah. But the truth of the matter is that it's important that we let things go. You said, you're kind of like the second man. I just can't let it go. You don't know the things that people have done to me. You don't know all the hurt they put into my life. And I'm not making that small. I'm not diminishing that you're hurt. I'm not saying that you never hurt or they never did you wrong. I'm just saying we need to learn to forgive. We need to put it behind us. Because as Pam demonstrated in her children's message, it's a chain. It's a chain that binds us. It's a chain that keeps us from being all that we can be, from living out God's love in our lives. The Bible in Matthew tells the story of a king who brought before him one of his servants, and his servant owed him $10,000. And the king set him free. He said, look, I know you can't pay it, and I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to pay that debt for you. I'm going to wipe it off the slates, and you're good to go. You owe it no more. And that servant went out in the street, and he found a man who owed him $100. And he said, I can't forgive that debt. He said, you're going to have to go. The guy said, well, just give me a few more days. He said, no, not a few more days, not a week, not a minute. If you can't pay me right now, you're going to debtor's prison. The man couldn't pay it. So what do you think he did? He sent him to debtor's prison. Well, the king heard the story, and he called that servant back in. He said, as you've done to this man, I will now do to you. He said, I'm reinstating your debt of $10,000. And I'll put you in debtor's prison until you can pay it off. That's a powerful story, isn't it? Kind of tells us, God has forgiven us for so much. He sent his son to die on the cross and to pay our debt. And yet we forget it. When it comes to dealing with others, we think, just because Jesus died for us doesn't mean, and paid our debt, doesn't mean we should forgive others. I just want to go through this life doing what I want to do. That's not what the Bible says. It's very clear, isn't it? It says we're to forgive others. And it's hard, isn't it? Let's keep it real. Forgiveness is hard. How many of you feel like you need to be forgiven for something? A lot. I need to be forgiven for a lot. I mess up all the time. Don't try to, let it do. And I'm sure you mess up some of the time. Maybe not as much as me. And so in doing that, don't shake your head, yes. You don't know me. Seriously. We all mess up. And we all need to be forgiven. And that's a hard thing, because when somebody hurts us, it makes us mad, doesn't it? When somebody does something to us, they abuse us, they cheat, they lie, they do something to us. In other words, the old-fashioned, they done you wrong, right? Somebody done me wrong. And you're mad, right? You get angry about that, right? Yeah? Doesn't it hurt? Yes. It hurts. And when you get hurt, you get mad. There's a story of this boy who had misbehaved. His mom finally had enough of it. And she went and cleared out her clothes and pushed them to the side in this big closet she had, and turned on the light and put a chair in there and said, you're going to sit in here until you get your attitude right. And she closed the door. And she kept hearing these noises. And she couldn't figure out what it was. And finally her curiosity got the best of her. And she went in there and she said, what is going on in here? What are you doing? And the little boy said, well, first off, I pulled all your clothes off the hanger and I spit on them. She said, then I went to your shoes and I spit on them. She said, and right now, I'm just resting, waiting for some more spit. How much of us are waiting for some more spit? You're just mad and you just don't, some days there's not enough spit in the world. Somebody does you wrong and the first thing you think about is, I got to get back, right? I got to get back at them. I got to get even. Even. Well, what's even? We spend our whole lives planning to get even. Even. And you know what? You're never going to get even. You let it sit in your heart. You let it sit there and churn. It's not good for your health. So even if you got even today for something that happened 2 months ago, that person's already lived in your head for 2 months and didn't pay you a dime rent. Right? So you're never going to get even. Leave it to God. He'll take care of it. Just give it up. Don't be chained. Don't be chained to that person who did you wrong 10 years ago. I'm going to guarantee you this. They probably don't even know they did it. Probably something happened 10 years ago and you're mad about it, and you're still mad about it, and you keep going, and that other person's just gone on with their life. They forgot about it. Or they didn't know they hurt you in the first place. Why are you carrying that? Why are you being weighed down by that? When you could just let it go. You could just let it go. So, well, it ain't that easy. It ain't that easy to let it go. You don't know what I've been through, and I don't. I don't. But I do know what the Bible says is that we need to let it go. Right? So, well, Pastor, sometimes I try to let it go, and it just comes back to me. I'll let it go, and I turn around, and there it is dragging me on my leg, and I don't know how I got there, but it's back. Right? And excuse me. Corrie ten Boom, who was put in concentration camps for sneaking Jews out of Germany. And her family were put into a concentration camp, and they died anyway. But the point is that before that, I said, well, how do you forgive all the wrongs that have been done to you? I said, doesn't it resonate in your head all the time? Doesn't it? Don't you think about it when you think about all the wrong that was done, all the people who were tortured and killed, and children and elderly, and it's just inhumane things done? Doesn't that bother you? He said, yeah. He said, but I let it go. He said, well, it's not in your head. He said, well, it is to a degree. It comes back. He said, but he said, when you forgive somebody, it's kind of like when somebody pulling the rope on a steeple bell to ring it, right? Somebody goes in there, they pull that rope and sways back and forth, ding dong, or something like that. Anyway, and eventually they stop, right? They stop pulling on the rope, they let it still, and they walk away. But even after they've walked away, that bell's going to still what? It's going to ring for a little while, isn't it? It's going to ring for a little while. Because that bell's still going. And what you have to remember is this: when you do forgive somebody, that bell may ring for a little while, but eventually it will stop. Eventually it will stop. But you got to make that decision to forgive somebody. I can't do that for you. Your spouse can't do that for you. It might be the spouse you're mad at. I mean, but you can't. Nobody can do it for you but you. Clara Barton, I think she headed or started the Red Cross, and she had suffered some really bad things when she was young. And one day she was being interviewed by a reporter, and he wanted to talk about that. She said, do you remember when you were abused at this, at an early age, and how do you forgive? She said, I don't remember that. And she said, what do you mean you don't remember that? He said, I don't remember that. He said, well, it happened to you, and you the one who brought the story out. How do you not remember the story? And she said, well, I don't remember the story, but I remember the day that I chose not to remember that story anymore. You make a choice whether you're going to remember it or not remember it. You make a choice whether you're going to let it go or you're going to keep it. And if you want to drag it around for the rest of your life, you know what? You can. But it's not the life that God desires for you. It's not what He wants for you. He wants something better than that, right? He wants something more glorious than that. He don't want you to be tied up in the hate for somebody else, because God's what? God's love. And if we want to be like God, if we want to walk in Jesus' footsteps, if that's our desire to be followers of Christ, then we need to be about love too. And love doesn't hold any grudges. Love forgives. Love offers mercy and grace. That's what Jesus did for us. He didn't have to. And though you've been done wrong, and I don't even know the guilt or I don't even know the details of your abuse, how bad somebody lied to you, how about they cheated you, or just physically or verbally abused you. How bad the thing was that they did to you, I don't know. But what I do know is Jesus laid down His life for all those sins that people have committed, to cover them all. Not just yours or not just mine, but everyone's. So we look to forgive people. We need to forgive them like Christ. The debt's been paid. Christ already paid for it. And if He paid for it, and He forgives, then shouldn't we? Isn't that how we should live our lives? And that's what the Scripture is saying today. Forgive us our debt as we forgive others. Forgive us our debt as we forgive others. The truth of the matter is, most of us don't. The truth of the matter is, sometimes it's hard. And also the truth of the matter is what God desires for your life. Because He knows that you can't concentrate on Him if your heart is filled with hate. He can't fill you up with His love if you're filled with hate. They can't exist in the same place. They really can't. It's your life that will be set free. You're not hurting the other person. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about setting yourself free from those feelings. And I think people say, you mean all of them? I got to forget everybody? Yeah. You do. I said, well, I can't agree with you on that. I said, look, I'm the messenger. It's right here. I didn't make this up. It's right here. So I didn't write that book. I didn't write the Bible. I didn't make it up. That's what God tells us to do. I'm just the messenger. If you got a problem with the message, you take it to God. Take it to God in prayer. You know, the first step, you say, well, how do I do it? The first step is make the decision to let it go. You got to recognize that you've been hurt. In some ways, some people bury it so deep that there's a hate there and they don't even know what it's for. You know, they're just sitting around waiting for some spit. Right? You ever meet people like that? You know, they don't know why they're being so hateful, they're just hateful. But the first thing you got to do is recognize you've been hurt. And then you got to choose to let it go. It's a choice. Choice I can't make for you. But in letting go, I can guarantee you it will set you free. And the second thing you need to do is you need to pray about it. I think if you pray about it, God will help. He'll help you forgive those who've done wrong. And it may take a little while. It's a process, right? We've talked about that. Life's a process. And we're always seeking to move closer to God. And this is one of those ways. My good friend Tom Brown says, nothing ruins a good hate like prayer. You know, you start praying, not so much for yourself, but pray for that other person. Try that sometime. Try that. That's very free. I can tell you that. Go home and try it. And see if you don't feel differently. See if you don't feel different. Because praying for somebody's hard. Praying for somebody's hard. But it will be free. You see, God never meant for you to live a life of hate. One filled with anger. One that is filled with a feeling of, I can never reconcile to that person or get over that thing. God has a much more glorious and peaceful and love-filled life awaiting you. But you have to let go of what's in this hand to receive it all. The choice is yours. It always has been. You have free will. You can do what you want. You can do what you want. I hope you'll choose to let it go. I hope you'll choose to make steps to draw closer to Christ and walk in His footsteps. I hope you'll make a choice to be as close to God as you can, to love and not hate, to show mercy and forgiveness, to show grace. Wouldn't that be something? This is where you say yes. That would be something. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't the world be different? Yes. Yes, there you go. Oh, right on cue. Right on cue. Yes, it would. Wouldn't it be different for people out there if they could see that we love unconditionally like Christ loved us? Wouldn't the world encounter us as Christians in a different way? Wouldn't the world not have any ammunition to say that church is filled with hypocrites, right? Because I see they go and sit in those pews on Sunday, but you can't tell it by Sunday afternoon, right?
Right.
You know, our desire is to live like Christ, to be as Christ-like as we can. One step at a time, one footstep at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And you have to be committed to that process. Now, I know I may have stepped on some toes, and I hope you brought your steel-toed boots. Because my intention never is to step on your toes to hurt you. As it is as much to get your attention of something that you need to think about. You see, I'm just as guilty as you. I can say I've let a lot of things go. And right now, I don't really have anything to let go. I have a good life. But part of that is learning to let go. And it's a lesson we all have to learn. You know, we do this at prison. When we go into prison, we have guys write down something that they want to forgive. They need to forgive, that they need to let go as part of a ceremony that we do. And some of the people who are there who go in and are helping these young men spiritually to grow, they do it too. And one of the pastors has said, you know, I've been putting the same thing on this list for 4 years. For 4 years, he's put the same thing on there. He wants to give it up. It's just what? Hard. Nobody said being a Christian was going to be easy. Right? Nobody said it was going to be easy. Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. But it's hard to carry that cross if you carry the chain too, isn't it? Let it go. Just let it go. You'll be so free, you won't know what to do with yourself. You'll have a peace that you didn't know you could have. You'll have joy in your heart that you didn't know you could. Pray that prayer. Forgiving my trespasses as I forgive others. And then reflect and see how that shines back on you. And do you really want that? Do you really want God to forgive you as you forgive others? We sure do. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're praying for. But it takes movement on your part. It does. It does. I hope you'll choose wisely. I hope I've said something to make you think a little bit, to reflect a little bit, to move closer to God. Just a little bit. Because if I have, I've done my job. And if you take that and you make that active out in the world, woo! We're going to make some changes. All right? We're going to be the start of that ripple. It gets so big, it's going to be like a tidal wave when it hits the shore. But we got to throw the rock first. Amen? Amen? Let's all pray that we have the courage and the commitment and the wisdom to make that choice. To never, ever hold something overnight or a day, but we choose to let it go. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen.